Our journey begins on Earth, a small blue point in the vast cosmic ocean. Despite being our home, there are still numerous unresolved mysteries about this world. Have you ever wondered what really exists beyond Earth? Who built the pyramids of Egypt with such precision? Why did civilizations such as the Mayans, Aztecs, and Incas leave records that seem to portray extraterrestrial beings? Well, today we started a journey in search of these answers. Let's explore the hidden mysteries of the starry sky, connect science and culture, and unravel the puzzles that the universe still holds. Get ready to board a fascinating trip for the unknown. The most likely planets to house extraterrestrial life. What if I told you that the Earth may not be the only place in the universe where life exists? What if right now microscopic alien creatures, or even whole civilizations, were living in distant worlds, waiting to be discovered? The search for life outside the Earth has never been so advanced. Scientists have already found planets and moons with conditions that can sustain life forms. Some have oceans hidden under layers of ice. Others have atmospheres that could protect alien organisms. And there are also those who resemble the Earth, orbiting their stars in the so-called habitable zone, where water can exist in a liquid state. In today's episode, we will explore the most promising places for the existence of extraterrestrial life. From Mars to the cold moons of Jupiter and Saturn, even distant worlds that look like alternative versions of our planet, each of these celestial bodies can keep surprising secrets. But the big question is, if we find life, will it be just microscopic or something much more advanced? Stay until the end to find out. Before we talk about the most promising candidates, do we need to understand what makes a planet or a habitable moon? For life, as we know, may exist. Three factors are essential: liquid water, essential for chemical reactions and biological processes; protective atmosphere, maintains stable temperatures and protects against radiation; energy source, it may be the heat of the sun, chemical reactions, or volcanic activity. But does life need these same conditions to exist? On Earth, we find organisms living in extreme conditions, such as bacteria that prosper in boiling waters, creatures that survive without sunlight at the bottom of the ocean, and frozen microscopic beings for centuries in glaciers. If life can adapt to these extreme environments here, why not on other planets? Now that we understand the basic requirements for life, it's time to know the most promising worlds. Let's start with the nearest and famous candidate, Mars. Mars has always been one of the main targets in the search for extraterrestrial life. Today, the red planet looks like a cold and arid desert, but in the past it was very different. Evidence indicates that Mars has had rivers, lakes, and even whole oceans, making it a habitable world billions years ago. Today, we know that there is still water on Mars. Not on the surface, but hidden underground, in the form of ice and even underground saltwater reservoirs. This is important because on Earth, where there is water, there is life. In addition, scientists have already detected methane in the Martian atmosphere. On Earth, most methane comes from biological processes, which raises the big question: can Mars methane be a sign of microbial life? Missions such as rovers Curiosity and Perseverance are exploring Mars for Biocene, and some rock formations resemble structures created by terrestrial microbes. If there is life on Mars today, it may be hidden below the surface, protected from the lethal radiation of space. But what if we meet this life? Would they just be alien microbes or something more complex? What would be the beings capable of surviving the hostile environment of Mars? Display NASA images and simulations went from possible forms of Martian life. Now, let's travel much further into an ice-covered world where a gigantic ocean hides secrets in the depths: Europe, the moon of Jupiter. If there is a place in the solar system where life may be thriving right now, this place is Europe, one of Jupiter's moons. Unlike Mars, who has had water in the past, Europe has an active liquid ocean at this time, hidden under an ice crust with kilometers thick. Scientists believe this ocean contains more water than all the oceans of Earth together. But how does this water remain liquid so far from the Sun? The answer lies in Jupiter's gravity. The huge planet exerts strengths over Europe, generating internal heat that prevents water from freezing completely. This same phenomenon happens in some of the hydrothermal sources of the Earth, where life thrives without depending on sunlight. Here on Earth, creatures live in dark environments at the bottom of the ocean, where they get the energy of chemical reactions released by submarine volcanoes. If in our own planet this is possible, imagine what may be happening under the ice of Europe. Possible forms of life there could be similar to the beings found in the depths of the earthly oceans, blind, translucent, and adapted creatures to total darkness. Perhaps organisms that use different chemistry to breathe and feed. Displaying animations went from alien life forms that could exist in the ocean of Europe. Nay, Europe has already been the target of several missions spatiales, and NASA is already planning to send the Europa Clipper probe, which will study the cracks more closely in the cold crust, seeking signs of organic compounds and possible bioassign. If we find life in Europe, it would completely change our understanding of the universe. After all, it would mean that life does not need a planet like Earth to exist, only water and a source of energy. But is Europe the best candidate, or are there other worlds hiding even more amazing secrets? Let's explore Encelado, the Saturn moon that also has an underground ocean and even geysers that throw water directly into space. If Europe is a strong candidate to shelter life, Enemy, one of Saturn's moons, is even more intriguing. Despite its small size, only 500 kilometers in diameter, this moon hides an underground global ocean protected by an ice crust. But what really differentiates Strain from other cold worlds is their impressive geysers. The Cassini spacecraft, which studied Saturn and its moons for over a decade, has made a shocking discovery. Water jets being expelled from the southern pole of Encelado, throwing material directly into space. This water comes from the underground ocean and contains complex organic molecules, an indication that there may be biological processes happening below the surface. The most fascinating thing is that these steam jets and ice particles are not just pure water. Cassini data analysis revealed the presence of molecular hydrogen, an element that on Earth serves as food for microbes that live near hydrothermal sources at the bottom of the oceans. This means that Enemy can have all the necessary conditions to shelter active microbial life at this time. But what if this life is more than simple microbes? How could the living beings of Encilla be? In the deep oceans of the Earth, we find extraordinary creatures that live without depending on sunlight. Bacteria that survive chemical reactions, giant tubular worms, bioluminescent fish, and even mollusks that extract sulfur energy released by submarine volcanoes. If something similar exists in stress, we can imagine alien organisms adapted to extreme cold, perhaps endowed with bioluminescence to navigate dark waters, or even life forms that use unknown chemical compounds to generate energy. Display simulation of possible life forms in Brain. NASA already has plans to send a mission to the Emteria in the future with probes that could cross the steam jets and directly analyze whether there are bioassign. If we find life on this moon, it would prove that life can arise even in worldless worlds, as long as they have water and an energy source. But does alien life only exist within the solar system? What about the planets that orbit other stars? Now let's expand our search beyond the boundaries of our system and explore one of the most intriguing exoplanets ever discovered, Kepler 452b, the so-called Land 2.0. So far, we'll talk about places that could have microscopic life. But what if there are planets similar to Earth, where life can have evolved to more advanced forms? Kepler 452b is one of the most fascinating exoplanets ever discovered. It is located in the habitable zone of its star, that is, in the region where the temperature allows the existence of liquid water on the surface. But the most impressive is that its star is extremely similar to the Sun, making the conditions of this planet potentially similar to that of Earth. Kepler 452b has 6 times the size of the Land and orbits its star over a period of 385 days, very close to our own annual cycle. This means that this world can have an atmosphere, a stable climate, and even oceans and continents, becoming one of the most promising candidates to house complex life. But if there is life in Kepler 452b, how could it be? If the planet is really habitable, we can imagine a diverse alien ecosystem. Depending on gravity, beings could be more robust or more slender. If the atmosphere is rich in oxygen, creatures could reach colossal sizes, such as the dinosaurs of the Earth. And if there are forests, oceans, and mountain ranges, perhaps Kepler 452b is the home of a biosphere as rich as ours. Display simulations of alien landscapes and possible creatures of Kepler 452b. What if this planet not only houses life, but intelligent civilizations? There could be advanced cities, unknown technologies, and even beings that have already discovered our existence. If there is a planet in the universe where life may have evolved similar to ours, Kepler 452b is a strong candidate. But it is over 1,400 light-years away, which makes direct exploration impossible with our current technology. Still, with telescopes during more advanced, such as the James Webb Space Telescope, we are getting closer to finding out if planets like Kepler 452b are really habitable. What if this world has an advanced civilization? Have you ever captured our radio signs? Have you tried to contact us? In the next chapter, we will explore the mysterious TRAPPIST-1 system, where several rocky planets orbit a single star, increasing the chances of finding extraterrestrial life. Imagine a different solar system from ours, where many rocky planets the size of the Earth orbit the same star in the habitable zone. It sounds like science fiction, but this system really exists and is called TRAPPIST-1. Located approximately 40 light-years from Earth, this planetary system has 7 rocky planets orbiting a red dwarf. The most amazing, 3 of them are within the habitable zone, which means they may have liquid water on the surface and conducive conditions for life. The TRAPPIST-1 star is much smaller and colder than the Sun, but its planets are so close that they still receive enough heat to maintain reasonable temperatures. However, there is an intriguing detail. These worlds are probably gravitational locked, which means that one side of the planet is always turned to the star while the other remains in eternal darkness. But does this prevent life? Not necessarily. In the midst of these planets, in the so-called twilight zone, the region between the illuminated and the dark side, temperatures can be perfect for the existence of oceans, lakes, and even alien ecosystems. Now, if there is life in these planets, how would it be? If the star side is too hot and the other too cold, living beings would need to adapt to temperature extremes. Creatures could develop resistant peels to avoid dehydration, or even reflective skin to protect themselves from the strong radiation of the star. On the dark side, perhaps bioluminescent beings dominate the environment, like some creatures from the depths of the ocean here on Earth. What's more, if 3 planets in the habitable zone are so close to each other, advanced civilizations could exist in more than one world and even interact with each other. Imagine a system where alien species travel between neighboring planets as if they are going from one country to another. Display animations from possible life forms in the TRAPPIST-1 system, including organisms adapted to the twilight zone and bioluminescent beings on the dark side. NASA and ESA are already analyzing the atmosphere of these planets with the James Webb Space Telescope to look for signs of oxygen, methane, and water vapor. If any of these elements are found in large quantities, it can be a strong evidence of extraterrestrial life. But what if we have already found strange signs on other planets? Our next destination leads us to one of the most mysterious exoplanets ever discovered, which can hide something even more surprising. Now let's talk about one of the biggest puzzles of modern astronomy. The star Kick 846285, better known as Tabby's star. Discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope, this star had such a strange behavior that some scientists even considered a shocking explanation. It could be an alien megastructure. But what makes this star so mysterious? Unlike other systems, where planets pass in front of the star in a predictably KIC 846285 has irregular variations of brightness, as if something gigantic was blocking its light in an unpredictably. Scientists have analyzed various hypotheses to explain this, including huge clouds of dust, gigantic comets, and even natural anomalies we have never seen before. But none of these explanations could completely justify the observations. This led some researchers to speculate a bold theory. What if the fall of brightness is caused by an artificial structure built by an alien civilization? In science fiction, it has already been talked about megastructures such as the Sphere of Dyson, a colossal construction capable of capturing the energy of a star to feed an overvaulted civilization. If something like this really exists around Kick 846285, it would mean that we are not just looking for microbial life, but for much more developed beings than us. Display animation IA from a possible alien megastructure around the star. Of course, this idea is still highly speculative. Most astronomers believe that the most likely explanation involves some natural phenomenon that we do not yet fully understand. However, this case reinforces an important point. If there is intelligent life in the universe, how could we detect it? To this day, we use radio telescopes to scan the skies in search of extraterrestrial radio signals through the SETI project, Search for and Extraterrestrial Intelligence. But what if alien civilizations don't use radio waves to communicate? What if they are sending messages in ways we still can't see? What's more, if there are advanced civilizations in the cosmos, have any of them tried to visit us in the past? This question leads us to our next chapter, where we will explore the historical and archaeological evidence that suggests that aliens may have visited Earth long before the modern era. Humanity has always looked to heaven in search of answers. But what if, in the past, something or someone had already come from other worlds and left clues to us? Would it be possible for extraterrestrial civilizations to have visited Earth thousands of years ago? Theories about ancient aliens suggest that certain mysterious constructions, artifacts, and old reports may be evidence of contact with beings from another planet. Of course, traditional archaeology points out more rational explanations, but some structures and stories completely challenge our understanding of human history. Impossible monuments. Some of the most impressive buildings in the ancient world intrigue researchers for decades. The Cheops Pyramid, for example, was built with such large and heavy stone blocks that it is not known to this day how they were transported and fitted with such precision. In Pumapunku, Bolivia, there are ruins with such exact cuts that they seem to have been made with advanced technology. The question that remains is, did ancient people really do it all alone? Or did they have any help? Another mystery involves anomalous maps, such as the famous map of Piri Reis, created in the 16th century, and that apparently shows Antarctica without ice, something that we could only have discovered with modern technology. If this map is authentic, who did and how they were aware of an ice-covered continent for thousands of years? Reports of gods who came from heaven. In several ancient civilizations, there are stories about beings that came from the stars and taught advanced knowledge to humanity. In Sumerian mythology, Anunnaki were described as gods who descended from heaven and brought knowledge to civilization. In ancient Egypt, there are representations of stretched beings and supernatural skills. In the Americas, legends of indigenous peoples talk about brilliant visitors who came from heaven and taught agriculture, astronomy, and engineering. Many of these stories could be just myths and symbolic interpretations, but the coincidence between cultures separated by oceans raises a fascinating question. Is something really happened in the past that would explain this connection? If there was an extraterrestrial civilization visiting Earth thousands of years ago, why did it disappear? Do they watch us at a distance, hoping that we evolve to the point of meeting them? This question leads us to an even more intriguing mystery. What if the aliens not only visited us in the past, but still watching us? If the universe is full of habitable planets and life can arise in several of them, then where are they all? This is the essence of the Fermi paradox, one of the biggest puzzles of astronomy. The universe has billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars and even more planets. If life is common, statistically, we should have found some advanced civilization. But so far, there is no definitive sign of extraterrestrial life. This leads us to some possible explanations. Hypothesis 1. We are looking the wrong way. Perhaps the aliens do not communicate with radio waves, as we try to detect through search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Advanced civilizations may use technologies that we do not yet understand, such as quantum communication, neutrinos pulses, or gravitational signs. Also, maybe they choose not to reveal themselves. If a civilization is thousands or millions of years more advanced than us, they may have ways to hide or simply consider that we are not worth the contact effort. Hypothesis 2. Earth is in a cosmic reserve. Another intriguing possibility is that we are being deliberately ignored. Just as we avoid interfering with fragile ecosystems in nature, an advanced civilization can see us as a primitive planet and have a rule of non-interference, something similar to the first guideline of Star Trek fiction. If this theory is correct, it means that we are being observed, but we will not realize until we are ready to interact with other civilizations. Hypothesis 3. The Great Filter. What if the reason we don't find aliens is because something prevents life from evolving to the level of an interplanetary civilization? This concept is called a great filter and can have several explanations. Intelligent life can be extremely rare, and we have been one of the few exceptions. Civilizations can destroy themselves before achieving an interstellar level, whether by wars, environmental disasters, or uncontrolled artificial intelligence. There is a natural limit for technological advancement, and all civilizations end up trapped in a stage where they cannot travel through space. If the big filter is already behind us, that is, if we already surpass the largest barrier of evolution, then the future can be promising. But if it is ahead of us, it may mean that most civilizations reach a critical point and disappear. Displaying animations was illustrating possible scenarios of the Great Filter, such as extinct civilizations or empty worlds. If we are really alone, it means that the responsibility of preserving life and expanding it through the universe may be in our hands. But if we are not alone, who are they? And if we ever make contact, how would this happen? This leads us to our next chapter. How could aliens contact us, and have they tried before? If there are advanced civilizations out there, how would they try to communicate with us? What if actually they have tried, but we don't realize it? The search for intelligent life in the universe has been one of the greatest challenges of astronomy. But what if the signs are already around and simply can't interpret them? Let's explore some of the possible forms of communication that an extraterrestrial civilization could use. Radio messages and space signals. Since the beginning of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence project, scientists have been scanning the space in search of artificial radio signals. The idea is that advanced civilizations can use radio waves to communicate between stars, just as we use on Earth for telecommunications. The most famous example of this was the WOW signal, captured in 1977 by a radio telescope. This mysterious sign was so strong and unusual that one of the scientists wrote "Wow" next to the record. But to this day, we do not know if it came from an alien civilization or if it was just a natural phenomenon. Another possibility is that there are artificial signs in the space that we do not recognize as messages. If aliens use very advanced technologies such as neutrinos or laser beams, we could be surrounded by extraterrestrial broadcasts without even noticing them. Display animations of alien transmissions invisible to our technology. Communication by megastructures. As we mentioned in the chapter on the Tabby star, KIC 8462852, an overwhelming civilization could build gigantic megastructures around a star to collect energy. These colossal objects could, intentionally or not, serve as signs of their existence. If extraterrestrials have already dominated stellar engineering, they could create flashes of light visible at large distances, or even structures that altered the brightness of their star artificially. This would mean that instead of waiting for radio signs, we need to look for unusual astronomical anomalies that could be tracks left by advanced civilizations. The concept of the Great Zoo. One of the most intriguing hypotheses about why we did not contact is called the zoo hypothesis. This theory suggests that more advanced civilizations already know about us, but they chose not to communicate. Just as we observe animals in nature without directly interfering, an alien society may be studying at a distance, hoping that we reach a level of evolution sufficient to interact with them. But what if contact has happened before, and simply not realizing or interpreting it wrong? The idea that aliens could visit us is not just science fiction. There are numerous reports and evidence that suggests that something strange is happening in the skies of our planet. In recent years, governments around the world, including the United States, released secret documents about UFO sightings, now called UAPs, unidentified air phenomena. But are these objects really extraterrestrial, or are there more plausible explanations? Official documents on UFOs. In 2020, the Pentagon released real videos of unknown flying objects that challenge our technologies. Videos show objects that move at absurd speeds, make impossible maneuvers, and have no visible means of propulsion. US Navy riders who witnessed these phenomena reported that these objects seemed to be intelligently controlled and, in some cases, showed a technology far beyond ours. If these UFOs are not advanced drones or secret experiments from another country, then what are they? Evidence throughout history. Long before the modern era, there were reports of foreign objects in the skies. Medieval manuscripts record sightings of and bright spins crossing the heavens. In World War II, pilots reported mysterious lights that seemed to accompany them, known as Foo Fighters. Famous cases, such as the Roswell incident, 1947, fed the belief that alien ships have already fallen on Earth and were studied in secret. If UFOs are real, the questions are even more disturbing. Why are they here? What are you watching? Do you want contact or just study us from afar? Display animations from UFO sightings in different periods of history. Human technology, or something far beyond that? An explanation for these phenomena could be secret technology developed by governments such as hypersonic aircraft or experimental drones. However, some of the observed objects move in ways that seem to challenge the laws of known physics. Some theorists suggest that if these UFOs are alien, they may not be manned ships, but robotic probes sent to explore our planet without the aliens themselves need to be here. If an advanced civilization wanted to study us, sending autonomous drones would be a logical way to do so. Just as we send probes to Mars and beyond, other beings may be exploring the Earth indirectly. Are we close to the first contact? With more governments admitting that they do not know what these objects are, the possibility that we are close to a historical revelation about the existence of extraterrestrial life is increasing. And if this first contact happens soon, how would it be? Would aliens send us a clear sign, or would simply appear in a way that would forever change the history of humanity? In the next chapter, we will explore the possible scenarios of a first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization and what it would mean for the future of humanity. If we discover an alien civilization tomorrow, what would happen? How would humanity react to knowing that we are not alone in the universe? The first contact is one of the most anticipated and feared events in history. It can happen in many ways, from receiving an interstellar radio signal to direct contact with extraterrestrial ships on Earth. But what are the most likely scenarios? Scenario 1. We received an alien signal. This would be the safest and most controlled scenario. Instead of an unexpected visit, a radio telescope could detect a clear message from a distant alien civilization. If that happened, scientists would need to decode the message and try to understand what it means. Was it just a greeting, an invitation for communication, or perhaps a random transmission of a civilization that doesn't even know that we exist? The great dilemma in this case would decide whether to answer or not. Some scientists believe that answering could be dangerous, as we do not know the intentions of civilization on the other side. Display simulation AI of a possible extraterrestrial signal detected in a radio telescope. Scenario 2. An alien probe appears in the solar system. What if one day we find an artificial object floating in space near the Earth? Some astronomers speculate that asteroids such as Oumuamua, which went through our solar system in 2017, may have been exploratory probes of another civilization. If an alien object is found, scientists would try to analyze it to understand its origin. But what would happen if he started responding in any way? In this case, humanity would have to decide how to interact with non-human intelligence for the first time. Scenario 3. Direct contact on Earth. This is the most dramatic scenario. An alien ship arrives and lands on Earth. If aliens came to us, it would mean that they have much more advanced technology than ours. But what would they do? Some possibilities include come in peace and try to teach us something. Just watch us without interfering, have unknown intentions, good or bad. The reaction of humanity would be unpredictable. Some people could panic, while others would see this as a historic moment. Governments around the world would come into alert, and communication with these beings would be one of the biggest challenges ever faced. But there is a big question. If the aliens are very different from us, biologically or technologically, how could we communicate with them? Display animation AI of possible first contacts with aliens. The biggest question, however, is, would we be able to deal with this discovery? How would this change our society, religion, and science? This leads us to our last chapter, the impact that the confirmation of extraterrestrial life would have on humanity. If tomorrow we found out that we are not alone in the universe, what would happen to humanity? The revelation of extraterrestrial life, be it scopic or intelligent, would be one of the most impactful events in history. But the consequences would depend on the kind of life we find. Microbial life discovery outside the Earth. If we find alien bacteria in Mars, Europe, or Enemy, that would be revolutionary. This would prove that life can arise in various places of the cosmos, dramatically increasing the chances of intelligent civilizations exist. The impacts would be mainly scientific and philosophical. Our vision about Earth's place in the universe would change completely. If life can arise on another planet, it may be common in the universe. Discovery of intelligent life distant. If we detect a clear sign of an alien civilization thousands of light years away, it would completely change our perception of the universe. Governments around the world would discuss how to react. Scientists would try to decipher the message, and religions would have to reinterpret their beliefs. This could be an incentive for humanity to accelerate spatial exploration, creating new technologies to try to travel to these civilizations in the future. Direct contact with advanced civilizations. If one day we have contact with much more advanced beings than us, it could mean an amazing advance or a terrible shock. If they are peaceful, they could teach us new technologies, forms of energy clean, or even avoid our own destruction. But if they are hostile, humanity could face one of its greatest challenges. Display animation IA from possible post-contact scenarios, from a golden age of advances to a possible global crisis. Earl, how would this affect religion, culture, and society? Some religions may see aliens as spiritual beings or divine creations. Others may have difficulty accepting the idea that humanity is not special or unique. Some cultures can embrace the discovery as the beginning of a new age of knowledge, the next step of humanity. If extraterrestrial life is confirmed, a new goal will emerge for humanity: explore and understand the universe in a way never before. We can start sending missions to habitable planets, building new telescopes, and even developing technologies that allow interstellar travel in the future. If there are other civilizations out there, the question won't be, "We are alone," but when are we going to find them? Display final scene with a vision of the future of space exploration. Today we explore the most promising worlds for the existence of extraterrestrial life and discuss the possibilities of contact with advanced civilizations. The truth is that the universe is too vast for us to be alone. If life has emerged on Earth, it may have arisen in many other places as well. The final question is, when the great time comes and we make contact, will we be prepared? Comment there. Do you think we have already been visited in the past, or is the contact yet to come? What if the aliens are already among us and do not realize? In the next video, let's explore the scariest theories about how they may be hidden on Earth.